So why has PlayStation missed the last 3 years of E3? Why did they do no state of play this year? And what might be waiting for them in the future? Are they making their own gaming conference? They certainly are. That's the play for them there. And why? Why do they want to have their own specific event separate from Microsoft, Nintendo, and the PC gaming space? Well, let's get this bad boy. Alrighty guys, sharing my screen, I have 3 articles pulled up. We're going to go from left to right here because, well, that's the way the story crumbles. So this year, E3 had no PlayStation conference, no state of play, or other streaming events for the Japanese gaming giant. But if the latest rumor is anything to go by, PlayStation would have its own event, and its announcement could happen soon. Coming over here to this tab over here. So Sony has registered a trademark for PSX, which is really funny because PSX was actually a piece of hardware back in the day. It was a PlayStation 2/DVR playback device called the PSX, but this is actually a conference that stands for PlayStation Experience. And this is the upcoming event. It should be noted that it won't just be a game showcase, so not just showing upcoming IPs or first-party Sony studio games, not just showing gameplay footage, not just showcasing new software, but it will have more massive dimensions. So what this screams to me is new hardware, whether there's new colorways of the DualSense controller. We already have Cosmic Red and Shadow Black or Carbon Black, I believe it was. But, you know, maybe a new Pulse 3D headset, PSVR 2. Any news would probably be at this venue, PlayStation Experience. If they're introducing any new features of the PlayStation 5, for example, when they finally decide to unfirmware block the expandable SSD storage in the back of the PlayStation 5, that will most likely be routed through this event. And if they have any new partnerships, for example, like when Microsoft acquired Bethesda for $7.5 billion, if PlayStation were to take on any new first-party studios, that would be announced here as well. It wouldn't be too surprising given Sony has skipped E3 and thus hasn't had a great event yet, unlike its direct competitors. So coming over here to this tab over here. Now this is very interesting. If we look historically that Sony has not attended 2019, 20, or now 21 E3, the reason as stated 2 years ago seems to be the same. To use their own way to communicate and engage with their audience. This means that state of play events keep the spotlight on the Japanese company's wares. So basically Sony does not want to share the showcase. They do not want to share a conference or an event or a game con with the lime green or the red brethren. Nintendo, this hand over here, this is going to be Microsoft Xbox and Nintendo Switch, or Switch 2, Switch Pro, Super Switch, whenever that is officially announced from Nintendo. We've been getting a ton of leaks and patents on that. It seems like Sony doesn't like to play well with others. We know this when it comes to crossplay. They don't like it. They're the last people to jump on board, the last platform to jump on board with crossplay. In fact, they don't even like to share games on other platforms. They're finally starting to port some of their exclusives over to PC. That's something Microsoft has been doing for the longest time. Nintendo's the same way. They don't really like to share their games on other platforms and stuff like that, but they at least do enable crossplay. And it seems like Sony wants to have their own specific event. So for the longest time, that was State of Play. And, you know, they even have their own journalistic platforms, for example, Press Square and Mash Cross and whatever little gaming articles you might dig up at PlayStation-centric outlets. And it seems like Sony wants their own event where they can showcase just Sony products, which does make sense to a certain degree, that they want to keep the spotlight on their products, as that is kind of Sony's business model, that they are very, very into their fans and how their products are received. They really do care about what people think about them, whether that's for better or worse. So that is what's going on there. They are going to have this event called PSX, not to be confused with the PlayStation 2 DVR product PSX from like 2002, I believe it was. So now let's move on to talking about some of the games that are going to be coming to the Sony platform, whether that is PlayStation 4, PS4 Pro, or of course the big boy PS5. So Ratchet & Clank came out on June 11th. I do have a review of that game that is linked in the description below. Spoiler alert, it's damn good. Horizon Forbidden West was delayed, however, the gameplay was revealed at the 27 May State of Play event, and God of War 2 has been announced and been moved to 2022. So when those are released, I'm sure you can sink a ton of hours into both of those games. God of War, probably not so much. I don't think that's going to have a whole lot of replay value unless they add some kind of a speed challenge mode or something at the end, but the core gameplay I'm sure will be phenomenal. And then Forbidden West will be very good, and there's a good chance that might get ported over to PC eventually, as they did port over the original Horizon Zero Dawn, and that runs pretty damn good on PC. And I also made a video about a month ago about how now the PC modding community is starting to unlock DualSense controller functionality on the PC. So the adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, and eventually even the onboard microphone. So that's kind of cool. But some of the other games that might be showcased at the upcoming event are Kena, Bridge of Spirits, Solar Ash, Little Devil Inside, Ghostwire Tokyo, Forspoken, previously referred to as Project Athia, Pragmata, and a new IP developed by Bin Studio, perhaps Days Gone, but it's not Days Gone, because we made a video about how Days Gone was shut down. The developers pitched a Days Gone 2, and it got shut down. And the gaming community was kind of up in arms about that decision. And it all comes down to Sony literally only wanting to produce games that are AAA bangers that they know are going to sell well. They don't want to take any risks. They don't really want to dabble in any... they don't want to dabble right now in any kind of third-party games, small indie games, or small community cult classics like Days Gone. They want to strictly make these big blockbusters like Ratchet and Clank, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Gran Turismo 7 that they know are going to sell millions of copies and most importantly get a high Metacritic score. Not only synonymous scores from the critics, IGN, GameSpot, myself, just kidding, I'm small, I know. They care less, to be honest, about the overall community reception of games as long as they sell well and as long as they get good industry reviews. Look back historically to Last of Us 2. That had a terrible Metacritic score for the longest time. It was like a 60%, and then some black magic voodoo. I'm not going to say any palms were greased behind the scenes, but then all of a sudden that boosted up into the high 80s, low 90s, and it seems like they really were... There was something going on there. There was some fuckery afoot, excuse my language. But this is Sony's mentality when it comes to showcasing new games. They want to do it on their terms. They don't want to fight in the park. They want you to come duke it out with them in their front yard because they feel more safe there. This article, as well as the others, will be cited or sourced in the description below, as I do anytime I cover any news in the gaming community or industry. And this is a good one if you are curious about any of the titles that I mentioned previously, as they talk a little bit more in depth. You can also click on links to get more information, but it goes over, you know, Kena, Bridge of Spirits, and a lot of these games are IPs. That's probably why you're like, well, I've never heard of that. That's because it's not a sequel or, you know, an offshoot or anything like that. It's an original, it's an IP, it's an intellectual property of Sony. But some of these look really, really cool. If you just come down here, you know, a lot of times it's very misleading when you look at screenshots or you look at early previews or CGI trailers that are, again, just computer generated trailers. It's not actual gameplay footage, but these do look quite satisfying. Far Cry, again, that's not a Sony exclusive. That's going to be on virtually, you know, PC, Xbox, everything else. Battlefield, again. This article here is all upcoming PS5 games, some of which again are first party Sony studios, and then a lot of them are also third party games. And it starts up here with games that are confirmed to be coming out as of now, unless they get delayed, in 2021. And then if you come down here, there's TBD, to be determined if they will be in 2021. And then games also that will be coming out even later, like 22 and beyond. 2023, you know, which that is a long way off, but Microsoft is also projecting that far out too. They've already announced games for 23 as well. So like Starfield. That is going to do it, guys. If you have any questions about why Sony conducts business like this, feel free to shoot them my way. I will answer them. I do respond to my comments pretty much daily. I'm very active with the community here at Gamer Heaven. If you did enjoy the video, liking it takes 3 seconds. It's free. It helps the video to get seen by more people, which in turn helps me grow this channel, which we're doing phenomenal here. And I definitely appreciate it because I'm a grower, not a shower. Technically, I'm neither, but my channel is a grower. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover a slew of gaming news. A plethora. Since we're using weird words, I cover a ton of news in the gaming community and industry. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.